distinguished guests, faculty, friends, and family, I want to convey to you tonight my values, my community, my philosophy, and my attitudes in 5 words. I am a Cubs fan. Indeed, with so many members of my family and Beth Chavirim here, it feels a little bit like when the Cubs play a road game. You see, as a Cubs fan, I have a deep and abiding respect for what has come before and an understanding of the importance of history. I recognize the tension between continuity and change, tradition and modernity. I know what loyalty means, and I know why optimism is so important. Perseverance and empathy are traits well honed. I have learned empirically the futility of prayer. I understand that life is not always fair, but one must nevertheless maintain one's integrity. I appreciate the impact of intergenerational experiences, of creating meaningful ritual, and of engaging in the oral tradition of storytelling. My family annually retells the story of the day my son was born 25 years ago when the Cubs took a doubleheader from the Mets. My calendar is punctuated by a new year that does not coincide with any secular calendar, but instead begins with the day pitchers and catchers report for spring training. On that day, the long winter ends, even if it is still February in Chicago, and a new year filled with hope and promise begins. I can tell you that memory, collective and personal, is crucial to who we are and how we define ourselves. I am, you see, a Cubs fan, bringing all these sensibilities to what I do. And tonight, 5 more words convey these same things to you. I, a humanistic Jewish rabbi. Years ago next month, I celebrated my bat mitzvah in a conservative congregation. At that time, girls, by law and by custom, were not allowed to read from the Torah or celebrate their bat mitzvah on Saturday morning. I chanted a Haftorah portion that I cannot recall today and that made no lasting impression on me. It was not until Beth Chavirim acquired a Torah some 4 years ago that I had my first opportunity to read directly from that scroll. Of course, I never felt that the scroll or its contents were inaccessible on a theological basis, nor that it was the repository of all things Jewish. Yet, too many people feel that way about Judaism, that it is contained in a dusty old book, put on the highest shelf, out of reach and out of touch for reasons that make no sense. Of course, humanistic Judaism radically changes that equation. It is accessible, celebratory, meaningful. It means that we take ownership of this wonderful treasure that is our inheritance. It is not static or stagnant, but impressionable and malleable. It is subject to what educator Zohar Raviv calls traditioning. There is no one Jewish tradition, no singular way to express being Jewish. We are free from the constraints of a monolithic Judaism, liberated from unbending rules and uncompromising ones that otherwise harness our Jewish sense of self. This presents such exciting and creative opportunities for us to reimagine, reconfigure, and reposition our ceremonies and celebrations. As a humanistic Jewish rabbi, I recognize the privilege I have to participate in the most intimate moments of people's lives as they marry, or welcome a child, or mourn the death of a loved one. I am fortunate to educate their children and to foster their exploration of life's most profound questions. My position as rabbi requires community, for indeed we are a communal people. We celebrate together and we grieve together. By way of making this point, I want to share with you my favorite story of the Torah. It comes in Numbers 12 and tells the story of Miriam's challenge to Moses' authority and to the biblical God. She lays claim to her status as a prophetess, a leader of the people. For her audacity, she is stricken with leprosy and, more importantly, shut out of camp for 7 days. Despite her infraction and her punishment, the story tells us that the story tells us that the people would not and did not move on until she was readmitted. This demonstrates Miriam's importance to her community and the people's recognition of Miriam as a leader. This story is exceedingly personal for me and the journey that has led to this day. I have been sustained by a supportive community. This community would not set out on a new course unless I was not merely a part of it, but at its forefront. A leader needs a community, and a community requires its leader as we mutually nourish one another. Together, we learn, we struggle with existential questions, we support each other. We put our ethics into action as we seek to repair an all too often wounded world. I am so proud to lead my community and join the ranks of the leadership of our movement. Occasions such as these are opportunities for expressions of gratitude and thanks. This is no exception. I am so fortunate to celebrate my ordination with my mom, who's here tonight. I am joined by my inspirations, my children, Ben and Emma, of whom I am so proud. To my husband of 30 years, David, your support is unwavering and your challenges make me better. I thank the many members of Beth Chaverim who traveled here today as we realize this dream together. I am grateful to Rabbi Adam Shalom for his leadership. To my extraordinary teachers in this program, thank you for sharing your knowledge and your expertise. To my colleagues, thank you for your generosity of spirit and kindness. I extend a hearty mazal tov to Karen and her family. Finally, in a perfect world, Rabbi Sherwin Wein would be here to see his students ordained and the Institute fulfill its mission. But Sherwin taught us well that this is an uncertain world and we are not at its center. Though our hearts still ache at his loss, we, the first rabbis ordained since his death, accept the responsibility of his legacy and the authority that comes with being ordained in this movement. Theodore Herzl said, "If you will it, it is not a dream." And in the baseball classic Field of Dreams, the lead character was told, "If you build it, they will come." Those words echo for the Cubs fan that I am and the humanistic rabbi I have become. With so much love in my heart, I thank you.